Hi, I'm Martha Bartlett Piland, President and CEO of BANKTASTIC. We help financial brands build love and loyalty. Let's talk about sensational brands. And when I say sensational, I really mean a brand that engages all senses. And often we don't think about our brands in that way, but yet it's really important. And there are three reasons. First, if you can engage more than just a few senses for your brand, you're making your brand more authentic through and through. Second, it's certainly going to set you apart from the competition, and we know that's really important. But finally, if you have employees or customers who don't have the ability to use all their senses or have alternate ways that they sense things, then if you can make your brand fully sensible, you're more authentic and engaging to them, and you're more inclusive. So, what does that mean? Well, let's start with sight, because that's probably the one that we might think about first. And we think about our logo or perhaps our color palette. And those are important things about our brand, and we need to guard those and make sure that they're really good and consistent. But there are so many other things visually that communicate about your brand, and it is good to step back and look at those and see, are they effective? But what about the use of stock photography? Stock photography is a blessing in many ways because it allows us to have really good quality images that we can use. A common problem that we see is many banks and credit unions and other financial brands are all using really similar imagery. So if you take a look at this imagery that's popping up on the screen now, you can see that we have pulled images from 5 different institutions. But look, they look like they could all come from the same stock photography package. They're very similar in the kinds of activities that people are doing. The colors are blue and muted tones and some white, and mostly they're all lit in the same way too. So in these cases, this imagery is doing nothing to build the brand and set that brand apart from others. Not everybody can afford custom photography, so even if you have to use stock photography, there might be some better ways that you can do it. Here are some examples from a bank who has a mix of stock photography and some photos of their own employees. But what they've done with that photography is they've always brought in their brand colors. You often see their logo, or you see a swoop across the photo that echoes the shape of their logo. So while this is not ideal, this is a really good step forward into making that imagery look like the bank. Now, you should also be looking at other things that customers and employees see. So that could be break room graphics, that could be what is happening inside the branch, or your signage, or those other things that sort of pop up like the sponsorship banners at the high school football game. So make sure when you're thinking about the visuals of your brand, they really are engaging and they're consistent through and through, and you're looking everywhere. Let's talk about smell. You walk into a movie theater and immediately you get wafted with that wonderful smell of popcorn. Or if you go into a Victoria's Secret store, there's a signature scent that you notice the minute you walk in the door. Now, that might be more difficult for a financial brand to think about, how do we incorporate smell into our branding? But it's a good creative challenge, and I'd like you to think about that too. One of my favorite banks has the smell of freshly baked cookies when you walk into the lobby. And why is that? Because they are actually baking cookies there in the branch. What a great way to get people to want to stop in and see you when you have that really inviting, welcoming smell. And it was part of their brand because they wanted their brand to emanate hospitality and be something different from other institutions. If you think about the smell of crayons or the smell of Play-Doh, those fragrances probably take you back to a memory that's really strong and powerful. So if you can think of some ways to bring that sensation of smell into and associated with your brand, then that's one more way to engage your audiences and endear you to them in an emotional, happy way. Let's talk about taste. You may not think about taste as a sense that you could involve with your financial brand, but yet I think there are some opportunities there as well. What do you do when somebody comes into your office? Or what if one of your bankers goes out to call on a customer? Do they pick up coffee, or do you offer them coffee when they walk in the door? Often that's something that people will do. But think about, is there a way to instead offer them something that's more related to and supporting of your brand? So for instance, if your brand is about financial health and healthy lifestyle and healthy communities, which some of you are, then what if instead of just offering coffee when somebody walked in the door, you offered them herbal tea or a special water or maybe some kombucha or other type of health drink? That would be different, and that would begin to associate some different tastes and flavors with your brand than just the regular old coffee that sort of blends in. Or on the flip side, what if your brand is about being bold and growing and being powerful and strong? Well, then maybe you want to offer a really bold coffee to customers when they come in, or energy drinks, or maybe you offer them power bars when they come in or when you go on a call to meet with them. Now, not everybody is going to meet with you person to person all the time, but you could also translate this to the swag that you give out at holiday time. Instead of the coffee mug or the things like that people sort of fall back on, what if you gave nice packages of that special coffee or those special health drinks? And you could certainly do that in welcome packages when you have new customers. So challenge yourself to think about how you could bring taste into your brand and make it really support what you want people to know and think about you. Hearing is a sense that people may think about, oh, I have some ideas on how I can bring sound to my brand. That might immediately conjure up your jingle if you have a jingle. But what are some other ways that people hear from you that could be branded? If they dial into your call center, is there certain kind of music that they're hearing? Or is there certain kind of messaging that they are hearing while they're waiting? Or what about if someone calls and has to leave a voicemail for one of your team? What do they hear while they're waiting for that opportunity to leave a message? Those are opportunities for you to build in some branded sound to your bank or credit union. Or what about your social media? Do you have some music behind some of your posts on Instagram or on TikTok? Do you have music that's just fun because you think it's cool, or is that music in some way building and identifying your brand? That would be a good creative challenge to think about as well. Something else I came across recently was that Her Bank by Legends Bank has done something really interesting with sound and their brand. And Her Bank, Her is obviously targeting women, serving women small business customers, and also women with their personal banking needs. And Her Bank has set up music playlists on Spotify for their customers. And so one is all kind of women, empowerment, exciting, energetic music like Girls Rule the World and I Know a Woman. How great is that in a way to support what they're doing for their customers and that community that they've built? So their customers are listening to this music and associating that back with Her Bank. And think about how shareable that is. So even if I don't bank with Her Bank, I might hear about it from a friend, and that might really help me connect and feel really good and interested in finding out more about them and maybe banking with them. Finally, I want to talk about touch. Now, a lot of banks will say, oh, we have the personal touch. We know our customers really well and we give them good service. Well, that's true, but how do you live that out? Or how can you take that further? That might be how people encounter your ATM machines, or that might be what they encounter if they come into a branch, or how easy it is to use your app. But I want to go further than that. And I think about what are some of the other things that people touch related to a brand. If you've ever picked up an issue of Fast Company magazine, you'll know immediately that it's different. There's something about the texture of that paper that is different than any other of those slick publications that you pick up. So if you were just reaching around in the dark and trying to pick up that magazine, you would know immediately that it's different, and pretty quickly you would learn that was Fast Company. So what are some tactile things that you could do to associate with your brand? Well, I brought a couple examples from other industries, but maybe that will get you thinking about what you might do for your brand. So this first one I'd like to show is from a manufacturer, and they do a really unusual, highly specialized product. It's very exacting and it's very innovative. So this card is actually out of metal, and here's a little ruler here, so it's kind of handy if you needed to have it, but it's certainly memorable, and it feels entirely different than any other card that you might have in your desk. This card is from a t-shirt company. They do embroidery and screen printing, and so their card is actually in this little die-cut shape of a t-shirt. And what do I especially like about this, you could immediately feel it, that it's different when you pull it out of your desk or your purse. And it's also very memorable. It's kind of fun to play with. It's just something different. And finally, this card is from a cabinet maker, and it's wood. So it also feels really different. You can see the wood grain, you can feel that wood grain, and it underscores the type of work that they do. So I would challenge you to think about how could you use a different kind of die cut, a different kind of texture to your collateral materials, or other things that really help set you apart and promote what you do. So that's it, 5 senses. If you can bring all of those together for your brand, you're authentic through and through. You certainly differentiate your brand, and you become more inclusive of lots of different audiences. Thanks for watching. We would love to hear feedback on this, or if you have ideas for other content that you would like us to talk about. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can see the button right here, whether you're on our website or on our YouTube channel. Go get them.